Last Sunday, the Patriots lost in ugly fashion to the 49ers. The final score was 30-13. Now, to be clear, I did not watch the entire game. I was at a music festival in my town. Thankfully, the weather did not force the organizers to cancel. They had a tented area called the Beer Hall with two TVs that were airing the Red Zone network. So through that tent, through those TVs, I saw some of the offensive action from our game against the 49ers. For the most part, it was pretty ugly. I didn't really enjoy watching it, but I had some downtime at the festival, and I thought I better sit down and see some of this, see how it's going, and for the most part, it was not going well, unfortunately, but that night I saw Noah Khan perform, and he definitely cheered me up, so at least my day ended well. That was not the case for the Patriots. The first on-field lowlight that comes to mind is that Ramondre Stevenson fumbled once again in the first half. I will have more on that later in the show. Now, as for our defense, just as they struggled to contain Aaron Rodgers week 3, they really struggled to contain Brock Purdy last Sunday. And ultimately, we cannot slow them down. They put up 30 points, of course. That was really disappointing. Jacoby Brissett was sacked 6 times, which is the most he's been sacked all year. And he threw his first interception of the year, a pick 6 to Fred Warner. Now, thankfully, I did not have to watch that live, but seeing it later on social media hurt just about as much. Now, up until this point, I would consider Jacoby Brissett a break-even kind of quarterback. He had avoided big mistakes, but he also had a hard time leading successful drives. If we had better receivers or a more offensive-minded head coach, he might be just enough to win games. Nothing special, nothing great on his part, but enough to win, enough to stay competitive. But unfortunately, our offense is not in that place. A break-even quarterback or a placeholder quarterback, 2 terms I would apply to Jacoby, is not enough for our team. As for our offensive line, things got even bleaker. Center David Andrews left with a shoulder injury, and this week it was announced by the team that he would be undergoing a season-ending surgery. So we've lost a veteran leader on our offensive line, which is a real bummer. When the offensive line is doing this poorly, you need leaders to provide stability. The final low light I will share is that Demario Douglas attempted a lateral pass to Ramondre Stevenson, but Tyquan Thornton was whistled for a block in the back, and the Patriots were forced to punt. I watched that live. It was the most exciting offensive moment of the game, and of course it had to be overturned. I will end this recap with 2 bright spots. Kicker Joey Sly set a franchise record with a 63-yard field goal, and Jabril Peppers picked off Brock Purdy. Now back to Ramondre Stevenson and his fumbling habit. This week, Coach Mayo made it clear he is on the verge of being benched. He said, quote, "That's definitely under consideration. I've had multiple conversations with Ramondre. We can't preach that ball security is job security and still have him out there the majority of the time." Unquote. I hope Coach Mayo is being completely honest here. As much as I love Ramondre Stevenson, as much as that love goes back a few years, I can't watch him fumble the ball week after week and still desire to see him on the field. There has to be some kind of consequence for turnovers like that. I believe that Ramondre Stevenson wants to win. I know he's not doing this on purpose, but you can't keep failing at your job and expect to keep that job. Having him stay on the bench for a little bit, learn his lesson, and get better is the way to go. I want him to have a redemption arc this season, I'm fine with a rough start, some time on the bench, and then hopefully having him back out in the field, being a leader, making offense happen. And it pains me to say that, After the first couple of games when he fumbled, I was like, what happens? It's a rough start to the season, but after 4 weeks of that, you can't brush it off. Consequences are necessary. Now, I'm still rooting for Ramondre Stevenson. He's done awesome things for the Patriots in the past, and I believe he will in the future. It's just a rough patch. Many players have one. I believe he can come back and be his usual self once again. And now a Week 5 preview. The Miami Dolphins are also 1-3, and they also have a very weak offense. According to some articles I read, when the Patriots run or pass, the Dolphins have the advantage, and when the Dolphins run or pass, the Patriots have the advantage. So it's more of a defensive battle this week. For a shot at winning our second game of the year, our ground game needs to bounce back in a major way. And it really is a good opportunity for that to happen. I do think this is a make-or-break game for Ramondre Stevenson. He obviously cannot fumble the ball, and he needs to contribute again, Whether that's scoring a touchdown or just moving the ball, he needs to do something, and he cannot be a detriment to our offense anymore. Without Drake May at quarterback, our passing game can only do so much. I don't see Jacoby Brissett putting on a fireworks show this week. He has not come close to that thus far this season. I don't see why this week would be any different. So while I'm not expecting much from our quarterback, Miami is also lacking their starter. As you may know, Tua Tagovailoa was placed on Miami's injured reserve list Week 2 after suffering a concussion. The Dolphins have already gone through a couple of replacement quarterbacks, but as of right now, they will be starting Tyler Huntley. So because of Miami's struggles and their lack of Tua, I do think this will be a nice opportunity for our defense to possibly have a strong game. We should be expecting some long shot passes downfield, as the Dolphins will have a hard time sustaining drives with short passes. I really think we have a decent shot at winning if we can get back to how we looked Week 1 and to a lesser extent Week 2. It's been a rough couple of weeks. I do think if everyone stays focused and does their job, we can win. I would say right now I am mildly optimistic. The game is at 12 p.m. Central Time on Fox, and fun fact, Tom Brady was supposed to be the commentator on this game, but because both the Patriots and Dolphins are doing so poorly, they moved him to the 49ers Cardinals game. I can't say I blame Fox. He is their number one commentator right now, even though he is still learning the ropes of NFL broadcasting. You don't want to waste him on a game like this. So I hope sooner rather than later we get to see Tom Brady in the TV booth in Foxborough, but this week is not that time.